And while Mother chats in the living room, Art gets acquainted with two prize calves. Farmer Owens has a very fine herd of Holstein cows. They produce more milk, but it is not as rich as that of other breeds, such as the Guernsey. As the Harwoods travel on their way, they see many herds of Guernseys, for many consider the Guernsey the queen of the dairy industry. Not only does the Guernsey produce a satisfactory quantity of milk, but its richness is exceeded only by one breed, and that is the Jersey. And there's a herd of Black Angus. They are both beef and dairy cows and are seen in growing numbers on American farms. And here's a herd of brown Swiss in charge of Shep. Shep was instructed to bring the herd up where you could get a good look at it, and evidently he understood your every word. Shep has a part in the tremendous task of supplying food for America. Good work, Shep. And as the Harwoods travel farther on, they see many wonderful sights, for there is probably no land with such variety of beautiful scenery. On their trip through the Rockies, the Harwoods meet meadow gold trucks, bringing fine meadow gold products from central plants to the smaller cities and towns. This service is very extensive and permits communities which could not afford the fine equipment and help of the large plant to share in the benefits of meadow gold products. This system of rapid transportation makes meadow gold products available everywhere. In the next meadow gold town, the Harwoods visit a refrigerated warehouse, and Mrs. Harwood gets some important facts for her paper.
I'm not very clear as to how your plant fits into my paper on the food industry, Mr. Gordon.
Well, if our service were to stop suddenly, housewives would soon notice the absence of many desirable foods from the grocery stores. We're the great community refrigerator, Mrs. Harwood, just like the one in your home. We keep perishable foods at the proper temperatures and distribute them when they're needed.
Well, I suppose then that's why some foods never go out of season.
Yes, the harvesting season on fruits and vegetables covers but 1 or 2 months of the year. But during that time, large quantities are picked, wrapped, and packed for use throughout the rest of the year. But in order to preserve their soundness and quality, they must be stored at keeping temperature, ready for use.
Well, I suppose I hadn't really thought much about how food is stored and distributed.
Most people don't think about it. But while we've had many spectacular inventions in our time, it's doubtful if any of these has added as much to your comfort and convenience as modern refrigeration, such as we have here.
I hadn't realized what an important thing it is, Mr. Gordon. I'd like to see the plant if it's convenient.
Why, of course it's convenient, Mrs. Harwood.
And the Harwoods are provided with heavy coats before they go into the refrigerated rooms. Here they see cold, firm apples, each in its own tissue wrapping and looking good enough to eat. Among the many foods Mrs. Harwood saw were boxes of young fryers kept in rooms 20 degrees below zero. Even with their heavy caps and sheep-lined jackets, the workers stay no longer than 2 hours at a stretch in these frigid temperatures.
Well, Mrs. Harwood, do you see now that the refrigerated warehouse is pretty essential in supplying the American housewife with fresh foods at all times of the year?
I certainly do, Mr. Gordon. I'm going to give the refrigerated warehouse a very prominent place in my paper on food. Why, it's far more important than I'd realized.
Yes, it's one of the very important phases of our business. In fact, our specialty foods and services, in which storage is included, account for 14% of our business. And poultry and eggs account for another 8% of company business.
Well, that's 22% in all. Beatrice Foods Company must have a great many refrigerated warehouses.
Yes, and if it weren't for refrigerated warehouses, such as you saw today, there'd be a great waste in crops and harvest. And we not only use our warehouses for meadow gold products, but to accommodate other distributors as well.
Well, I certainly have a much clearer picture of how perishable foods are stored and why we can enjoy our favorite foods the year round. And thank you, Mr. Gordon, for taking the time to show some of these things to me.
It was a pleasure to have you here, Mrs. Harwood. A cold place like this doesn't attract many visitors. There's always a warm welcome here for you. Don't forget that.
Oh, well, thank you. Goodbye, Mr. Gordon.
Goodbye, Mrs. Harwood.
And the Harwoods are on their way again. And here along the route, they're held by the peaceful beauty of a river winding through the green countryside. And in a little town in Ohio, in the center of a fine vegetable-growing community, we find the LaChoy plant, which is a subsidiary of Beatrice Foods Company. This plant produces grocery specialties as well as Vegemato, one of the most popular of vegetable juice combinations. Here we see workers picking the red ripe tomatoes in the fields, and trucks picking up the baskets as fast as they are filled. These are taken to the LaChoy plant, where they are graded by federal inspectors, and then are placed in the tomato park, ready to receive their first bath in the large flume which carries them into the plant. The flume has a water current of about 18 miles an hour, and the tomatoes travel through it into the plant, where they are picked up by a conveyor and given a stinging needle point shower. By this time, they appear to be thoroughly cleansed, but for good measure, they are taken through a very high-pressure shower bath, and they come out sparkling clean. Next, they are sorted, then crushed. The fresh juice of the other vegetables, plus a dash of real lemon juice is added, and the vitamin-rich, healthful juice is canned and delivered to the stores. Vegemato is a very popular item from the LaChoy plant. Well, the Harwoods have seen many interesting meadow gold plants, but Art's been waiting for one in particular. Now, of course, we don't mean to infer that on this long trip, Art hasn't had his chance to enjoy meadow gold ice cream. It's been a refreshing treat all along the way. But an ice cream plant will be the next stop. Hear that, Art? And in this plant, the Harwoods can see one of their favorite foods in the making. Early in the process, ice cream is pasteurized and homogenized. Only the finest ingredients are used. They have been tested for richness and purity and carefully weighed and measured with laboratory precision for uniformity. Here we see the ice cream being fed through stainless steel tubes directly into the large 5-gallon containers which are supplied to fill the orders for sodas, sundaes, cones, and the Meadow Gold Special of the month, which is always something new and tempting. And here we see row after row and gallon after gallon of Meadow Gold ice cream being hardened in the 20 below zero temperature of the hardening room. And the Harwoods see other quantities of ice cream being packed especially for use in the home. This really marvelous packaging machine turns out only the tray pack carton. These tray packs fit right into the freezing compartment of the home refrigerator, making it easy and convenient to serve Meadow Gold ice cream on short notice. And here's something interesting. Ever wonder how they get the stick smack in the middle of the ice cream bar? Well, they first fill the molds with semi-frozen ice cream. Then the sticks are inserted. When hardened, the bars are removed from the mold and placed in chilling chambers. And when frozen hard, they are removed from the chilling chamber. And here you see them getting a bath of rich, sweet chocolate. And they're on their way, each ice cream bar with a smooth coating of the rich chocolate. A special machine quickly inserts the ice cream bars into their protective envelopes at the rate of 100 bars per minute, and they are quickly packed for their journey by refrigerated trucks to points of sale. And while Mom goes up to talk with the plant manager, Art is keeping himself well occupied. Take your time, Mom. It looks like Art's got a full program laid out for himself.
We saw so many flavors of ice cream being made. The children in a whirl. I don't know whether I'll be able to drag them away.
Children aren't the only ones who are fond of ice cream. We work hard to keep up with the demand. Ice cream accounts for a good share of our business. About 20%, I believe.
Well, I'll jot that down in my notebook.
And that gives us a complete picture of the sources of the incoming dollar. Fluid milk and cream, 26%. Butter, 25%. Ice cream, 20%. Specialty foods and services, 14%. Poultry and eggs, 8%. And other manufactured dairy products, 7%. Total, 100%.
You seem to have that notebook pretty well filled, Mrs. Harwood.
Oh, yes. We've seen how milk is processed, how butter and ice cream and chalks and Vegemata are made. We've met the people who do the planning and the ones who carry out the plans. And I'm beginning to get a real idea of the size and extent of the food industry, Mr. Wells. It must take a great deal of capital to run a business like this.
It's true our stockholders supply the initial capital. When you come right down to it, though, it's the customer's dollar that keeps us going and permits us to progress. Let me show you how we spend that dollar, Mrs. Harwood. Oh, yes, here it is. We have a chart made up of figures based on our annual audited report, representing one of the most profitable years in our history. It shows how every penny of the customer's dollar is spent.
Oh, that looks interesting.
This represents the dollar that must buy all materials and ingredients, pay all salaries and wages, repair and replace equipment, and take care of the many expenses necessary in the conduct of the business.
Well, from the way this is divided, it looks like someone gets the lion's share.
Well, the lion's share, of course, goes for our basic materials and takes about 68 cents of the incoming dollar. Jot these figures down as we go along. They provide pretty interesting facts for your paper.
That's 68 cents for basic materials?
That's right. Over 68 cents of every incoming dollar goes to buy milk and cream from the farmer, to purchase sugar, fruits, flavorings. In fact, any ingredient that we need for the processing or manufacture of Medigold products. Now let's add to that about 4 cents of every dollar for packaging. That is, the bottles for milk and cream, the cartons for butter and ice cream, and cans and all containers necessary to deliver goods in a sanitary and convenient manner. Now, just for the basic materials and the packages to deliver them in, we must spend 72 cents out of every incoming dollar.
But that only leaves 28 cents.
That's right. What's left must cover all our expenses. Equipment, wear and tear on machinery and buildings, wages and salaries, taxes, everything. And, of course, we must have some profit left over in order to continue to operate successfully.
Oh, of course.
You remember, Mrs. Harwood, that everywhere you went, you met well-trained Medigold employees. You saw office workers taking care of the daily routine necessary to keep accurate records and accounts and to transact business. You saw men especially trained to run the machinery in the plants. You met ice cream salesmen, grocery product salesmen, who were proud to wear the Medigold insignia. Your own rockman at home is carefully trained, as are thousands of others, to sell Medigold products and give good, reliable service.
Yes, that's certainly true.
Well, the wages and salaries of all these employees represent almost half of what's left after we have purchased our basic materials and packages. They receive the next largest cut, or over 13 cents of the incoming dollar. Now what's left of our dollar, Mrs. Harwood?
There's a balance of just 15 cents.
That's right. And what's left must cover many expenses. You remember, Mrs. Harwood, you saw the raw milk being brought into the plant.
Oh, yes.
First, that milk must be tested for richness and purity. Now, that means the expense of special laboratory equipment and capable men to handle that equipment. Next, it was placed in the holding tank, where machinery and refrigeration mean an additional cost. And then milk and cream must be pasteurized. Pasteurizing machinery and all processing machinery must be kept in top-notch condition. So, for the maintenance, repair, and replacement of all equipment, and for the steam and refrigeration required in different steps of processing, we spend a little under 4 cents of the incoming dollar. Now what have we left?
That leaves about 11 cents.
That's right. Now, 3 cents of that goes to provide trucks and pay the operating expenses, such as gas and tires and so forth. Included in this same amount of 3 cents is the cost of our advertising. That covers all the colorful, attractive store advertising you see. Advertising in national magazines, billboards, and every means necessary to acquaint people with our products. In order to progress, every food company must advertise, not only to acquaint present customers with new products, but to get new customers for established products. Now, that same 3 cents also covers equipment and supplies necessary to give prompt and efficient delivery service to our customers.
I understand there's no delivery service in the world as efficient and economically run as dairy delivery service.
Yes, our delivery service is something we can be proud of. And now, how much is left of the dollar?
I hope you don't have many more items to come out of this. There's only 9 cents left.
And 2 cents of the 9 goes for such items as overhead. That is, for rent for buildings where we do business. Also, the telephone and telegraph service necessary to expedite business promptly. It covers interest paid and insurance on properties. And, as you may know, life insurance is made available to our employees on a basis that they couldn't hope to duplicate individually. Only a short period of service is necessary in order to be eligible. And the amount of insurance obtainable increases with the length of service. And here's another recognition of service that I'm pretty proud to wear. It means 20 years with Medigold. Of course, many others have a much longer record of service.
It must be a good place to work if so many employees have such fine records.
The food industry is a very dependable one. It suffers least in times of decline, for the simple reason that we all have to eat to live. It offers a steady future and real stability. But to get back to our dollar, or what's left of it.
There's only 6 cents left.
And of that 6 cents, about 3 cents goes for taxes, of which there are many. Federal taxes, state taxes, real estate taxes, city licenses, and many others.
I hope you don't have many more items of expense. There's only about 4 cents left.
We're down to our smallest item of expense. 1/5 of a cent of the incoming dollar goes for officers' and directors' salaries. A very small amount, since these are the men who plan, supervise, and take the responsibility for guiding the business.
Well, I've heard my husband say that 95% of the businesses fall by the wayside in a few years. So to endure for over 50 years like Medigold has, there certainly must have been good leadership throughout that long period. I guess the proper management in business is a deciding factor between success and failure.
Yes, good management is certainly essential. And any business that is to endure must provide against the lean years, too. Which brings us back to what's left of the customer's dollar. We have left about 3 cents. Our stockholders receive a little over 1 cent of this amount. The remainder, or about 2 cents, is reinvested in the business to buy new equipment, to rebuild plants, and so on.
I'm amazed at how closely everything is figured. I'm glad I don't have to account for my household money down to the last penny. I'm inclined to take my profits out first.
Well, you can't do that in business. Not if you want to stay in business. And Medigold is pretty proud of its 50 years. But it's looking forward to the next 50 years, too.
And from everything I've seen and heard in Medigold plants all over the country, you have every good reason to be proud. Goodbye, Mr. Wells, and thank you very much.
Goodbye, Mrs. Harwood. And if you're ever down this way again, be sure to stop in and see us.
I'd love to. Thank you.
And in appreciation of the courtesies extended her by the Medigold organization, Mrs. Harwood, true to her word, visited Mr. Haskell and told him of the very interesting experiences she had visiting the Medigold plants.
I hadn't realized before how many people are working to meet the food requirements of America, and how much carefulness and cleanliness and detail goes into it.
Yes, we spare no time or effort in rendering service and fine products. In return, we receive the customer's dollar with which to continue our business.
And then Mr. Haskell asked me if any of the plant managers had shown me how the sales dollar is divided. I told him that they had and that I'd found it very interesting. And it meant a great deal more to me after having seen just how much work and expense are involved in getting dairy products to our homes every day. Mr. Haskell summed it up in a few words. He said that the dairy industry is the largest industry in the world. Millions of people depend upon it, and the industry in turn depends upon the people it serves. And when our trip was over, I truly felt I'd spent one of the most pleasant and worthwhile summers. I'd learned a great deal that I didn't know before, and I think I'm better able now to appreciate the tremendous job that people in the food industry are doing.
Thanks, Mrs. Harwood, for sharing your trip with us. You made us feel as though we were all right along with you. And I think we all realize now that supplying food for 150 million people 365 days a year is certainly a big job. And while Mrs. Harwood was talking, I jotted down a few notes of my own. Imagine 40 million housewives going to the store each day for groceries. Think of the millions of farmers working to produce the food. Then add to that millions of people in transportation who operate the railroads and the trucks. Then the many hundreds of thousands working in the food plants. Also, there must be thousands of grocery stores ready to serve us. That really gives us some idea of the tremendous scope of the food industry.
That's absolutely right, Mrs. Thompson. And here's how Beatrice Foods Company is fulfilling its share of the task. In 1 year, it produces enough butter to spread 3,500,000,000 slices of bread. Enough milk for 1,040,000,000 generous glasses. Enough ice cream for more than 850 million delicious servings. With these and many other wholesome, healthful foods, Beatrice is doing its part to render a service to the American people in helping to provide life's greatest necessity, food.